Supervisor Sayed's here. Deputy Chief is here. Deputy Supervisor Kaminsky, I see. Town Clerk Michelle Martinelli. See Town Attorney Briggs, Judge Swinton, Brian Backus, I see. Deputy Town Attorney Finnan advised she wasn't going to be able to be here. I see the PBA is here. Who is that? Comptroller Alarm. Chief Lingenfelter. Comptroller Alarm. Is Janet Wynn going to be here?
No. Oh, Chief.
Thank you. See Councilwoman McGraw. I see Josh Howley. Anyone else here that I didn't call? Okay. Motion to accept April's minutes.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Thank you. Second?
I will second.
Thank you. Okay, we have had no current reported cases of COVID-19 within the department, which is awesome. The Lexapol working on the policies is moving along really well. We had gotten advised by the comptroller that Councilwoman McGraw had found a late grant. Unfortunately, we then got advised that we did not get it accepted for the grant, but we have started testing body cams. Different companies have been sending us test cameras. We're going to still continue to get the test cameras just in the event that a grant does come along, because Paul Tonko said that there may be other grants coming out. Am I correct with that, Ismet?
Yes, and actually, this is Denise, and
Okay.
Assemblyman Steck might be able to help us with the money. I met with him yesterday. So if you could keep proceeding, and we'll get an idea on cost.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, there's a few companies. We already tested Digital Ally. We have another company that's sending, I think, like 3 cameras on Friday. So we're just going to keep going through the process. This way we have an idea of which body cams work best and, you know, what their different functions are. We're continuing with public service programs. Things, you know, are opening up. So we're continuing with the child safety seats, motor vehicle lockouts, fingerprinting citizens. So the other thing that has come up is we got correspondence from Traffic Logic, the company that, you know, that are the portable radar signs. And for the cloud space, we got bills for $400 per sign. I'm a little bit confused. So I'm not really sure who gets those bills. Does that come out of the highway budget? I don't know that we really have money.
Ismet, I think that's highway, right? That's who bought those?
Yes, they did. Yes, exactly, they did. But how many are there, Fran?
So there's 5 signs, so that's $400 a year per sign.
Okay.
Now, it's my recollection, and maybe I'm not right or not, that we didn't need to do that cloud information based. We could also get the information off the units themselves. The deputy chief knows a little bit about that.
Yeah, we can, but we have to then purchase some sort of computer with Bluetooth capabilities. And my understanding is that you can then drive up to the sign, pull the necessary data, or program the sign. The big thing about the cloud or the web-based function is that it allows me to program these signs right from my desk. And in theory, I can pull information from all 5 signs at one time from one location. So it's absolutely a convenience thing. Speaking a little bit on a personal level, I'd kind of like us to keep the web-based if we could. It's just going to create more time for these things. If I have to drive to each sign to then program it and get it up and going, it just seems like a waste of time, but I'll leave that choice to you guys.
So, Mike, one of the things I saw in the bill is that they also have where you could pay a one-time fee for so that you don't have like an annual fee. Do you look into that option?
Yeah, I didn't even notice that, but I can look into it, sure.
But it's still going to be 1,200, right? Approximately?
So there's 5 signs, 400 per sign per year.
Right, but what my question is, even if we paid upfront, it's still going to be 1,200, or do we get a discount?
What's the
I don't think-
1,200?
I don't think Fran knows about all of the intricacies of this because Ray bought them. So let's have Mike or Ray or somebody get them figured out, Ismet. But I think it's a highway expense.
Okay.
I really wasn't
Does that make
involved when.
sense, Ismet?
My question is, sometimes when you pay the lump sum upfront, you get a discount on the payment.
Yeah, that's a
So-
good point.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you paid over installments, whatever, then they charge you extra. That's what my question is.
Okay.
If you have the bill, it
Yeah.
should be right on the invoice, Fran.
You're absolutely right. Fran, why don't you get the invoice to Ismet and then she can get it figured out?
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
The method of payment is not the issue. It's just which budget to come out of. They are, highway signs, and the police department then basically in conjunction with the highway department decides where to deploy them. So they are traffic signs.
Right. And I believe that a couple of months ago, there was some kind of repair on one of them. So we split it, I think, 3 ways.
That one
One
is
third-
for water. You're remembering correctly, but that was the water and sewer sign.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Thanks.
Those are
Thank you.
the informational signs, which are, the police department does use occasionally and highway and that sort of thing. But I think if we can, this expense should most likely come from highway.
I agree.
Okay.
Is Matt, I just sent you that invoice, so you should have it in your email.
Okay. I'll look at it, Mike. Thank you so much.
Okay, the next item is, the 2 new patrol cars, we've been advised from Ford that the manufacturing will begin in July, which is a little late this year, but I imagine with, everything that's going on with COVID and that, things are starting later. And then Councilwoman McGraw and Councilman Delarada want to propose a resolution that serves to establish a safe exchange zone within the town hall parking lot that is under surveillance for the purpose of facilitating secure private party sales by town residents. I think that this is a fantastic idea. I just think it's a really good idea to be a safe place for people that do private sales on like Amazon, any of those private sales, they can come. We have a couple cameras in the parking lots and they can do their exchange there. There's another police department that does it. I believe it's out towards Rochester, and they do put in there, like on their Facebook page, that the cameras are not, surveilled 24/7, that they should still bring a second party with them when they're doing the exchange. I just think it's a good community service, outreach for their residents.
Exactly my thought, Chief, is that, the proper signage and proper, information about it, that there are cameras there, but as you said, they're not monitored 24/7, you know,
Correct.
that people don't get the wrong idea that someone's going to be, you know, in the police department there on site all the time watching that.
Right, correct.
But that there is video for, you know, safe exchanges.
Correct. Yeah, I thought it was a really good idea. And then on to my favorite topic,
Back
training.
to this, do we have to, you know, about that? So we got the cameras already. So it's really more about getting the signage and putting it out there on, you know, either our website and social media. But what area would it be actually in the parking lot? Because we want to make sure that it's in an area where there is good camera coverage, right?
Right. Fran has given it some thought, Bill, and she called me yesterday about it. She thinks back over by the charging station and the electric car already is a good spot. I think anywhere is going to be right outside our police department. So you got to be pretty brazen if you're going to do some harm right outside the police department. So I think no matter where we are, and the chief makes a good point, we will openly communicate the fact that, you know, somebody isn't staring at this camera 24/7, but it's just a better, safer, more well-lit place. It's probably the safest place in town. So, and we can put the signs up in the back there, so it's not taking away parking spots from staff or anyone else. And we'll give it a try.
Can I make a suggestion that the
Yes, sir.
spots be marked, like, you know how handicap spots are
Yes.
blue?
Yeah,
Like make a different color, orange, or I don't know.
sounds great. That's a very good point. So that's a reso, right, Briggs?
Yes, that needs to, we need a resolution for that.
Okay. All right, I'll work with you and Elena. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, Chief.
No problem. Okay, on to my favorite topic of training, spring firearms training. We got part of the department done in April, and it will be concluded in May. Also, police officer Josh Wyman will be attending field training officer curriculum at Zone 5 Academy in May. And also in preparation because of the marijuana laws, we're sending police officer Robinson, Mara, and Walter will be attending the AROD, which is Advanced Roadside Impaired Driving Enforcement Training Program at the New York State Troop G headquarters this month as well. We're actually trying to get them prepared. There's certain prerequisites to attend the DRE training, so at least we can get one of our officers in DRE. Sergeant McGuire was our DRE, and I don't foresee her coming back to the department. So we're actually trying to get an officer set up to go to that training.
Do you think that this is something we're going to need to be doing for all of our officers because of, you know, the changes in the laws regarding marijuana?
Well, I think that if we get at least some officers on each shift, which is what we're doing here, I think that's a start. And then if we get officers that are trainers, then they can train the other officers. I think that's the way to go.
Great.
Okay. So due to the ARIDE training, we had to put our CPR recertification that was already scheduled off to June on the Everybody Workday. And the planning continues for the countywide active shooter training that's scheduled in the fall. And then on to citizen issues. I was copied in on a complaint that the town planner, Laura Robertson, received regarding out-of-towners playing volleyball at Baker Woods. I talked to Julie Lohr in Parks, and what was in the email, it does not seem as though that there was any violations that occurred about these people that were playing volleyball at Baker Woods. I mean, it was Ben Mastriani. He said that the neighbors were annoyed, but we really don't have any violations of people playing volleyball on Baker Woods. I mean, unless we want to, say people can't play at Baker Woods that don't live there. I don't see any violations there unless anyone else has any other ideas.
I can address that, Chief.
Okay.
So I'm looking into that issue. I've spoken to a couple of the residents that belong to that park district, Baker Woods, and it doesn't have the formal committee structure like Dean Street Park, where they have a group of district members that are actively involved in managing the park, if that's the right word. So I've explained to one of the residents it's actually the town board that is in effect, commissioner of the park. And so that's just started working on that yesterday. So there's really not a whole lot to report, but
Okay.
I am addressing the issue, and I have to get back to some of the district residents, in specific one, and have more to report next month. I'm hopeful it'll be resolved before that.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
We also received a traffic complaint from a Mr. William Van Evera from Brookshire Drive. He's requested that at some point one of the radar readout signs be installed at that location. I think that we could at some point put that out there. I've also asked the patrol to do some traffic enforcement on Brookshire. I believe sometimes people cut through there from St. David's to Pierce to probably try to avoid Route 7 traffic. And then the prior complaint on Dean Street, we addressed that at the last meeting, and that's mainly a traffic volume, not a speed issue. And then I attended one of the racial task force meetings, and I have received a complaint on Palmer Avenue between Union and Plum Street. I know that this has been addressed in years past. We did put one of the speed boxes out there. Mike, if you can address that.
Absolutely. We put the traffic box out. It ended up being out for a 40-hour period. In the 48 hours, once again, it's not a speed issue, it's a volume issue. High volume. This was the dual box, so it got both directions. And in 48 hours, 4,108 cars passed that box. The good news is the average speed was 25 miles an hour. The highest speed was 49, and a lot of times that's a good sign. A lot of times that box will batch because it gets both directions. It'll batch speeds. We get a lot of erroneous speeds on that one, so that wasn't a very high speed. But again, that was the highest. So, and if you break it down in 24-hour blocks, the first day there was 2,273 cars. Again, the average speed was 25. And the second day was 1,834 with an average speed of 26. So it doesn't appear as a speed issue on Palmer. It's just a traffic volume. And that's a lot of cars. It's one of the higher ones I've seen in a 24-hour period. So it does match up with prior studies we've done a couple years back that I have a high traffic volume on Palmer Avenue. And as we all know, there's nothing we can do about that because we can't control the vehicles on the roadway. So.
And I know that we have addressed this road in the past. I actually wasn't involved, and I know they've talked like one way. The problem being is that this is the city of Schenectady owns part of the road. We own part of the road. I know the fire trucks going down the road, that comes into play as well. So it's a difficult road for us to really, a lot of those houses are two-family houses, so there's parking issues. A lot of the houses, the people park in the road. there's a lot of issues with this road, so I don't really know what the answer is with Palmer Avenue. I don't know, Paul, do you have any thoughts on this?
I don't. You addressed it correctly. It's a volume, as the deputy chief said, it's a volume issue, and we can't control volume. I do recall the discussions about making that one way, and it just was not viable.
Yeah, I think that was because of the fire department getting down there and having to maybe get to the schools, or there was other issues like that with the fire department. Okay, I'll move on to community events. One thing I left out was the drug take back day, but I believe, Bill, that you addressed that at the town board meeting.
Oh yeah, we had the drug take back day last Saturday, and it was well attended. Again, yes, I did mention it at the board meeting, thanking Officer Twitty for his work there, and NCAP and all the volunteers. And I don't have my notes right in front of me as far as the volume, but I will put them on for the next meeting.
Okay, and the only other thing was police officers Henry and Walter conducted a public service video for the Niski Now peanut butter and jelly food drive. I think that I thought it was adorable, which I'm sure they probably wouldn't like me saying adorable, but it was really cute.
The video was fantastic, Fran. Please thank everybody. It was such a big hit on social media, and the program itself, we raised a ton of peanut butter and jelly. It just really struck a note with the community, and certainly thanks to the department's support. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, and on to town clerk, but Michelle, I don't see that she signed on. So court issues, I received, let me see if I can find it, an email from Judge Scagnelli, and he wanted me to address, he said one issue I came across, and maybe Mr. Briggs can help explain, is that when I last ordered a dog seized, the dog warden could not do it because the town had no contract with a kennel. So going forward, what can be done if I or Judge Swinton order a dog to be seized? And I believe what he's talking about is we had a vicious dog bite. And in that case, the dog has to be quarantined for rabies. And there's no place we can take the dog. And I mean, we've run into this before because they have to be quarantined. We can't seize the dog. Paul, I don't really know that there's anything that we can actually do about this. Do you have anything further on that? Paul?
Yes, we did have a dangerous dog complaint, and it actually went to litigation, and we couldn't seize the dog because our contract with the shelter will not take a dog that's been alleged to be dangerous. And of course, in order to seize the dog, I have to give the court probable cause to believe that the dog is dangerous before the court will sign a seizure order. And alternatively, we had a local veterinarian that would take dogs that he also won't take a dog that's been declared dangerous. I've reached out to Schenectady to the Corporation Counsel's office to see what they're doing, but it is an issue. So we ended up, fortunately or not fortunately, that dog had attacked its owner. So it stayed in the home, and the owner ultimately agreed to have the dog put down, and allowed us to seize the dog, and the dog was put down, and the owner agreed to pay the cost of all of that. But it is a problem, and it's something we need to deal with, because once a dog's declared dangerous, we really need to get it out of the community and in some sort of custody situation. So it's a problem that I'm actively dealing with, especially since it just came up again.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Yeah, and just for the record, the only dogs we seize are the ones that are alleged to be dangerous. So, I mean, those are the only dogs that we would be looking to house somewhere.
Right, and I know that Dave Stern, I mean, he looked all over the place, but because of that quarantine for rabies,
Right.
even people that would by chance take a dangerous dog, they can't because of that quarantine time. Is what I'm understanding. Judge Swinton, do you have anything else for court?
No, just I'll give you an update. OCA gave us the okay to reopen at up to 50% capacity, which is actually a big help with us being able to move more cases through. We do have our first round of vehicle and traffic trials scheduled. We do not have any jury trials scheduled yet. We're not allowed to until county court has had 2 jury trials without any COVID-related issues. My understanding is they've only had 1 so far, so we can't schedule until they get another one under their belt. We have started scheduling 2 and up to 3 court sessions per week now. We used to be once a week. We've moved all of our civil and evictions onto separate nights. So we are doing later this month. We've got a 3-night week coming up. And that I anticipate will be going on for a while. I don't know what happened yesterday with the state legislature, if they extended the eviction moratorium to August 31st, like they had tried to do it the week before, and there was a typo in the bill that would have.
They did it, but Steve, they passed the bills yesterday.
Did they? I know they were on the verge of voting and realized they had a typo, so they had to pull it, which created an awkward situation because I had evictions on last Thursday when the moratorium was still due to expire on Saturday. So we had actual warrants of eviction issued on Thursday. Whether or not they can be enforced now, we'll have to see what happens. But there was a gap in there. But so if they're pushing it off to the end of August, I anticipate we're going to be having separate eviction sessions probably through the end of the year until that backlog clears, unless they extend it again. That's all. Other than that, we're trying to dig out.
Fran, you're muted, Fran.
Thank you. I do that every meeting at least once. I still don't see Chief Langenfelter. So I'm going to move on. I don't know if everyone has seen in the news that Albany PD, the town of Albany and Schenectady is trying to deal with the motorized dirt bikes and ATVs that have been racing around the Capital District. Paul, I'm hoping that you can kind of help out with this, or at least give us advice on this. What they have done is raised the impound fees and I guess maybe processing fees to up to about $3,000 if a vehicle is impounded, or ATV or dirt bike is impounded, and it's to try to get these dirt bikes off the road. I know, Bill, last year we got inundated with complaints about them racing up and down Route 7, Consall Road, State Street. They've been up Grand Boulevard last night. I got text about 7:30, 8 o'clock last night that there was mini bikes or dirt bikes out on Valencia. By the time the guys got over there, they were gone. I mean, there's been numerous fatal accidents in the Capital Region in the past few years. So I'd kind of like to get ahead of this, and if the people that are doing this realize that it's going to be a monetary cost to them if they are caught, hopefully we can stop this. Paul, have you seen like what Albany did? They put in
Yes.
a local law.
Yes, and in fact, Denise alerted me about this too. So the issue that we have to deal with is, and I reviewed those because you had sent me the local laws, and what we have to deal with here is that at some point it becomes a taking rather than a fine or an impound fee.
Okay.
So that's a. I know I grew up building took the lawnmower engine and put it on a little frame and rode around the street. But what I'm seeing is these are very advanced manufactured bikes. They're not the homemade. So I think the thing to do is we'll follow the lead of the other municipalities and set the fee at a high fee and until it's tested in court. But
Perfect.
I can certainly propose the legislation for that.
Okay, perfect.
Chief, I assume these are not street legal vehicles we're talking about?
Right. I mean, in general, they're generally not registered.
Right.
And like last year when we got complaints, it's tough to tell the residents that our officers are not going to chase these motorcycles, dirt bikes, ATVs, because I mean, that just brings liability. The chances of a bad crash are, I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just, like I've told the officers, I don't want you chasing these bikes. It's going to be a fatal or serious injury. But they're 4 o'clock in the morning. They're loud, and there's got to be. We have to do something to try to get ahead of it.
Fran?
Generally, they're also exceeding the speed limit and/or driving in some sort of a reckless manner. I mean, the other thing, in addition to the high fine, if you did a local law on it, is there's a section under Section 510 of Vehicle Traffic Law for suspending someone's license for reckless disregard for life and property, which we don't do that often, but this is the kind of thing that, if we had someone charged with that, I would certainly seriously consider a 510 suspension for reckless disregard. Now, maybe the people doing this don't care that they're driving on a suspended license, but if they are, it ups it to a misdemeanor and you end up in handcuffs at some point. So,
Fran, is it possible for your officers to deploy something like a drone instead of chasing them, just see where they go, and when they stop, that's when you go and grab them?
Well, I mean, we don't have a drone. It's kind of something that I talked about with the county that does have a drone. But the problem is 4 o'clock in the morning, by the time we get the call or we realize it, getting a drone out at that time in the morning it's not easy to get a drone out that quick, and they're gone. They're gone before we'd even have the drone out.
Well, I think that, the officers have to do the best they can to try to enforce, right? Not chase, but follow, try to get a determination on, who's driving these vehicles and where they're going, where they may be storing them, and then, again, following up on those types of things to try to curtail it best that we can, right? And to your point, at 4 a.m. it's very difficult, right? They disappear into the dark and very hard to find. But we're just gonna have to keep on it and do the best we can to try to enforce the vehicle and traffic laws, and those are violations, driving those on the roads.
Absolutely. That is all that I have. Does anyone have anything else?
Yeah, Fran, one other thing, we're gonna need a resolution to surplus a couple of vehicles. Yesterday I was down at the highway, another business, and realized that we had three old police vehicles that were still there. And in talking to Pete Ravicka, did a little research, turns out one of them from 2020, we never actually did a surplus. resolution on. So I have that one. It's a 2016 Chevy Tahoe that we need the resolution so we can sell it. There's also one impounded vehicle, a 2006 Hyundai Elantra. We need to get that one surplus so we can get rid of it. And then also another vehicle we have, a 2007 Mercury. If we just get those surplus, that we can move those along.
Okay, perfect.
Well, I'll get a resolution for that.
Yeah, just send over the information to Paul or Elena and the VINs and the necessary paperwork, and they can put that together.
Okay, yeah, I have an email for that, Paul. I'll send it to you and Elena right now, actually.
Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you, Mike. Okay. Ready? You want to make the motion to?
Anybody have anything else? All right, motion to adjourn then.
Second?
I will second.
Thank you. Next meeting is scheduled for June 1st at 8 a.m.
Yes, it is. Have a good day, everybody.
Everyone have a great day.